Okay, so without further ado, let us jump into our topic today. So, as you know, with my Vesperisms show here, I start by talking about one of the characters from What the Night Sings. Now, we're getting to the end of the characters here, so eventually I'll have to, we'll talk about other things from What the Night Sings. But today I want to talk about the character of Klemens Rausch. Klemens is Goethe's father. So if you've read the book and you know Goethe, our lovely teenage protagonist, Klemens is her father, her beloved father. And he is a violist in the Köln, sorry, my German again, Köln Philharmonic, which is the city of Cologne, okay. And he's a violist in the Philharmonic there, and he's married to a politically active and religiously observant woman, Goethe's mother, who's also a watercolorist. But on Kristallnacht, which took place in, in 1938, in November 1938, she's at a political meeting at a Jewish club when she's rounded up and killed. And she and Klemens had known that this could come. They knew this was coming down the pike, and they already had plans in the works to get false papers and to try to leave Germany. But when she's killed, it's very sudden, it's very unexpected. Klemens goes into action mode, and when he finds her body, he slips off her wedding ring and uses it to pay the viola maker to draw up false papers for him and his daughter Goethe. And they escape to the small but musically active town of Würzburg, where they live under this new identity. And they move in with a friend of Klemens, who is this Maria Büchner, this famous diva who we talked about last week, who becomes his lover and Goethe's de facto stepmother. Ultimately, they're found out, and he and Goethe are deported to the concentration camp town of Theresienstadt, which is about an hour north of Prague, where it was typical to send artists, intellectuals, and families before ultimately transporting them to the killing centers, the death camps like Auschwitz. So I was thinking about Klemens this morning and how his life turns out. And just stick with me here because I really want to get your guys' thoughts on this. I'm not going to give too much away about his ultimate story, but he's someone who must have battled discouragement. And that's what I want to talk about today, the subject of discouragement, especially as artists. What do you do when you're discouraged and when that discouragement can feel overwhelming and even crippling? For Klemens, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about when he was a young man and when he had his first audition, right? His first real job as a musician. That excitement, that possibility, and then he's moving up the ranks in the orchestra to eventually become first chair viola in the Philharmonic. I mean, violists, unlike violinists or cellists, they don't get much time in the spotlight. They are definitely behind the scenes kind of instrument, unless you're my friend Drew Ford, who is like a YouTube sensation and amazing social media guy who's like really bringing a lot of awareness and attention to the viola. He's amazing. Check him out. He's at That Viola Kid. But anyway, violists, like they can get short shrift, but they're really essential to the orchestra. Like you don't always hear the viola, but you hear when it's missing. And he manages to make a career out of it and to support his family, and but he never gets to see it, right? But his music, his choice of a career in a way, it's actually what winds up saving Goethe's life. So that's what I want to talk to you about, this subject of discouragement, especially as artists. Being an artist, it's a little bit harder to measure your success and your progress as it would be if you were, say, a lawyer trying to make partner in a law firm, It can be a little bit more esoteric than that. So we have our careers, but our careers are only a fraction of what makes up our lives. It's so easy to put your stock in a career and think that it gives you your validation. The only problem is that your career, just like any other part of your life, your commitment to exercise, how well you're raising your kids, how you're doing keeping your house clean, volunteering or giving to charity or taking time to pray or meditate or managing your social media responsibly or taking care of your parents or, okay? So, and there's 50 other things, right? There's like all the things that you read in a magazine that only take 30 minutes a day, right? But if you add them up, you're doing like 8 hours of trying to like manage your life, right? And then there's the 8 hours that you're supposed to be spending on your work. Okay, so career fluctuates just like any of those things. And as a woman, the pressure to achieve in all of those areas at once is the dark underbelly that no one talks about. It's like have it all, do it all, be it all at the same time. Otherwise, you're betraying womanhood itself. And this is something that I will talk more about very much more pointedly in future episodes because it deserves its own episode. But you internalize that. I mean, I can only speak as a woman, but I'm sure men internalize this too, but you internalize that message more than you know. And if you're someone like me who's wired for that already, and if you have like sort of a survivalist mentality like I do, it can be a killer. So lately I've been facing some big discouragement, and I won't go into why, that's not important. It's common to artists, okay? So I don't even need to tell you the details. It's like, what I'm talking about. And it doesn't even matter if things are going well or things are going badly. There's always going to be something that you're going to find that kind of knocks you off your horse, right? And you're like, I'm not doing as well as I should be. So this is where I'm at lately. But it's given me a good, you know what I'm talking about, right? It's given me a good chance, though, to think through why I go through these cycles of discouragement, because they are cycles. I just came off of a very tough revision of a manuscript for my next book. And it kicked my ever-loving hiney, okay? This revision was so tough. And I was working 12-hour days easily, especially toward the end of this. And I am mentally and physically exhausted. I am just like, I'm at the max, right? I took 2 days off just to like recalibrate thinking, like putting two thoughts together in my mind. Okay, it was really bad. You can probably hear it in my voice. You probably see it in the bags under my eyes. I'm tired. And I'm just about to start illustrating for that book. And so I'm trying to get back into that creative space again, which is really difficult when you're depleted, And so whenever you have downtime, especially at my age, you start thinking about where you're at and what you haven't accomplished. And you start thinking about all the vagaries of your life, and you're taking stock and asking what it all means and where it's all going. And so at this point, I have 20 years of career behind me to look over and to take really serious stock and ask myself some serious questions about where I'm at. And from the outside, you may look at some of the things that I've done. If you've followed my work at all, you might think that this looks somehow different than it really is. And I'm telling you from behind the scenes here, I face discouragement. But I'm not the kind of person who rolls over and just lets that bowl over me, okay? So what I've been trying to do in these last few days that I've had some downtime before I ramp up the illustration is I'm asking myself how to deal with the discouragement. Because we can't live in that space forever, right? We have work to do. Like, we have stuff to get done. And, this is funny, but the other night I actually said to my husband, I think maybe I should choose a different career. I think I'm in the wrong career. Okay, just being real for a minute, but that's not possible. Okay, what am I gonna do? I'm an illustrator. This is what I've chosen for whatever ups and downs it has. This is what I've chosen, and this is what I've been doing for 20 years, and so this is it, right? So I have to ask myself, first of all, how am I gonna deal with those career things, but also how am I gonna deal with the discouragement, right? So someone wrote to me this week actually asking this specific question. So I wanted to give you some tools, and they're just the ones that I am trying to develop for myself at this very moment. They're so I'm here in this space, trying to figure it out myself. So here goes. So these are 5 ways to battle discouragement. Okay. Hi, how are you doing? Be very glad that you tuned in right when you did, because now you're going to get some great advice here from me. Okay, so number 1. This is going to be backwards for you guys, isn't it? But anyway, number 1, fulfill your commitments. Okay, you cannot stay in bed all day if you're discouraged. You have bills to pay. You have to make yourself some breakfast. And if you're in the middle of a job or a commitment, or especially a contract, you can't disappear. You can't just roll over and let the discouragement bowl over you. You have to get up, put your big girl panties on, make yourself some coffee, and sit in the chair. Okay, so that's number 1, fulfill your commitments. Number 2, don't blame anyone else. Okay, the buck stops with you. The world does not owe you anything. You may have been the most talented person in your class, in school. It doesn't matter, okay? No one owes you anything for your talent, okay? So I'm not saying beat yourself up or wallow in guilt, but do understand that you are in the driver's seat of this thing. You're in the driver's seat of your own life. This can be really tough for some of us to keep in mind, but you are not a victim. You are in the driver's seat. So don't blame anyone else. Now, I'm not going to leave you there, okay? Because number 3 is be truthful with yourself, all right? I'm getting a lot of love from you guys right now. Thank you. But be truthful with yourself. Take real stock of where you've come from, what you did right, and then where you might have gotten off track or missed the mark. Sit down with a journal, sit down with a piece of paper, and first of all, before you go to all the things that you've done wrong, before you get to all the things that, where you're a failure and your life's never going to amount to anything, take stock of what you've done right before anything else, because you need that. You need to bolster your soul with that. So this is the spot right here, okay? This is the spot that I am in right now in this process, all right? It's easy to ride the wave of other people telling you that you're talented, your friends or your family or whatever, or people who've been, following you since the beginning or whatever. But you know that there are people who do your job better than you do. And it's always going to be that way. And you have to think about what that means, okay? So when you take stock and you're truthful with yourself about where you're at, because none of us are where we want to be. Even people who've been doing this for 50 years are not where they want to be, It's okay. We really, yep, exactly. We really are we're all in this together. No one arrives. That's the big secret, okay? No one arrives. So just be truthful, take stock, but don't give in to the dark side. Okay. Number 4, recognize that your worth does not come from your work. You see this? Is it backwards to you guys? I don't know. It's backwards to me, but your worth does not come from your work. And this is something that maybe we have to tattoo on our foreheads and just wear, all day long. Your worth does not come from your work, okay? A lot of us think in terms of destiny, right? Especially if we're in the arts, because it's so esoteric. I think that's because we are eternal beings. We have a soul that has a real bent toward eternity and eternal meaning. This is true. This is wired in us. Oh, hey, how are you doing? It's good to see you. So I don't know about you, but I want my life to be meaningful. I get my 70 years here, as we all do, please God. But, I saw the Mr. Rogers documentary this week. I don't know if you guys did, but that might be part of what's bumming me out and actually contributing to this feeling of discouragement I have, because that man had a meaningful life. And those of us who grew up with Mr. Rogers, right, we know it's He gave our lives meaning as kids. It was like really intense, you know? But so that man could look back on his life and say that he made a difference. And so if you're kind of in that space where you're not sure what difference your life is making, especially your work, um, don't measure yourself by that standard, right? You know, it's like we want our lives to have meaning, but your worth does not, I'm going to hold this up again, okay? Your worth does not come from your work. It comes from the kind of person that you are, you know, the kind of character that you move through the world with. I mean, some of the worst people I know are professional artists because they haven't gotten that. They're so trying to prove their worth. Hey, how are you doing? They're so trying to prove their worth through their work, and to the exclusion of like the relationships and the people in their lives that really, you know, are equally if not more meaningful. Okay, and this last point, okay, in terms of fighting discouragement, so that's what we've been doing. I'm trying to give you 5 tools to battle discouragement. So I'm going to wave to you guys, by the way, who have waved to me. Thank you. So this is number 5, okay? Last one. Get back in the saddle. All right? You have to get your butt in the chair. No matter how discouraged you're feeling, okay? You can't go back to bed. You have to fulfill your commitments. Don't blame anyone else. You're not a victim of this. You're in the driver's seat. Be truthful with yourself. Take stock, but don't let it bowl over you. Recognize that your worth doesn't come from your work, and get back in the saddle. So create, even if it's a really bad sketch, or a self-portrait, or you draw your breakfast, or you copy a piece that you like just so you can kind of explore a technique without the pressure of having to be creative, right? As my husband always says, you can't drive a parked car. So get your butt in the seat, do the work, and let the questions of the meaning and the destiny and the, you know, these big, you know, questions, let them handle themselves. And I'm saying this as much to myself as I'm saying it to you guys, because I am really right now in the battle of the mind at the moment. So that's all I wanted to discuss with you today. If you missed the beginning of this, it'll be up on my IGTV and here in my story for the next 24 hours, obviously, and on my YouTube, which who knows what that is even going to do. But yeah, please do DM me and give me your comments. And if you, just for the next minute or so, if you guys have any thoughts about this, if you're battling discouragement too, comment to me. Let's have a little chat about it. I don't want to go on too much longer, but I definitely see that this was resonating with some of you guys from the hearts and the some of the comments here. So anybody want to say anything about it? I'm just going to remind you that I launched just today, just moments ago, a giveaway, a fantastic giveaway from some of my favorite maker friends. And I would love for you guys to enter and tell your friends. So go ahead over to there, to my feed, and enter the giveaway and tag your friends and all of that good stuff. And you're welcome, you're welcome. And also I'm on Patreon, so I'm starting, I don't have any supporters yet, but I'm looking to get just $5 a month. Makes a big difference. Oh, hi, how are you? I'm sorry, we're just about to end right now, but please do watch it and DM me. So thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. And it actually meant a lot to me to have you guys here listening, because I felt like we were kind of in this together. So yeah, no problem, Ellie. And let's talk soon. Definitely next week, if not before. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Yeah, totally. We're all struggling. We all have these points at which we're struggling. Front Pocket Studio says. It's easy to forget that others sometimes struggle too. Yeah, nobody escapes this. Even the most successful people have times of self-doubt and discouragement. So we're not alone. We're not alone, but we can take some tools and try to pick up our swords and wage the battle. All right, guys, thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.